The Gift of the Givers Foundation has been reaching out to vulnerable Muslims during this year's Ramadan, donating Ramadan food to thousands of fasting needy Muslims in the deep rural areas of Malawi. The Gift of the Givers distributed iftar packs to hundreds of mosques, as well as giving Ramadan food to thousands of Muslims in the country. Malawi is a country that is riddled with many social and economic problems, and most of the people, especially Muslim communities, live in very critical poor conditions. However, in 2015, the poverty levels have been worsened following devastating floods earlier this year, which destroyed houses and maize fields and left 200 people dead, while displacing 400,000 others. The Gift of the Givers Foundation was in the forefront of mobilizing resources and distributed emergency supplies to thousands of flood victims during the flooding disaster period. Currently, the Gift of the Givers Foundation is on a Malawi flood recovery program to help flood-devastated communities in restoring water and sanitation facilities and giving food aid to the thousands of people who lost their crops, as well as farming programs for their sustained livelihood. The floods hit the southern region of the country with a predominantly high Muslim population. Most Muslims in Malawi live in rural areas and depend on agriculture for their daily living. Having lost all their crops in the floods, there is a looming hunger this year. In other places, the hunger situation has already reached its peak. During this year's Ramadan, most Muslim families are struggling to find food to eat, and their living conditions are deplorable. The Gift of the Givers Foundation is the only organization that reaches out to vulnerable Muslims living in the remotest parts of the country. The mosques in which they worship are dilapidated, but they continue to call on their Lord. The masjids are without mats, and there are no boreholes or any safe water source nearby. Women have to travel long distances to fetch water for the masjids. Even the places they fetch water from are not hygienic. Children learn the Holy Quran in deplorable conditions as there are no proper madrasas in the communities. These vulnerable Muslim communities are asking for very basic things: a good mosque with windows and a roof that will not leak in the rainy season, equipped with a madrasa area, praying mats and kitabs, a borehole at the masjid as a safe water source which may also save the community. These mosques use pit latrines which may be dangerous to use, especially during the rainy season, and there have been incidents of people falling and dying in the latrines. The Gift of the Givers also partnered with other relief organizations like the Malawi Relief Fund UK in its effort to reach out to needy Muslims in the remotest parts of the country. The Gift of the Givers provided the logistics and administration of the Malawi Relief Fund Ramadan donations and distributed to the remotest areas where no other Islamic relief organization has ever reached. The main aim of this gesture is to relieve from hunger the vulnerable fasting Muslims living in remote impoverished communities so that they may concentrate on prayers. However, after Ramadan, these vulnerable Muslims will still need food throughout the year since their crops were washed away in the floods. And during this year's planting season, they will need farm inputs such as fertilizers and seeds. Gift of the Givers Foundation is on the ground monitoring the hunger and poverty situation in the Muslim-dominated communities and is continuously seeking ways to help the vulnerable Muslims live sustainable lives. The Gift of the Givers is working towards uplifting the lives of the vulnerable Muslims through its initiative of socio-economic empowerment through the Development of Skills program. The SEEDS program has the sole aim of reducing household poverty by creating jobs and opportunities for poor people to support their families and build more stable futures. Many Muslim families face particular challenges that make it difficult for them to stimulate and sustain their household incomes. These challenges include unemployment and a lack of access to financial services. The gift of the givers through seeds is trying to mitigate this by coming up with various income-generating activities for poor people to support their families and build more sustainable futures. Gift of the Givers is committed to uplifting the standards of living for vulnerable Muslims in the country. Best among people are those who benefit mankind.